Hey everyone, thank you for joining us for another monthly update session. We have some exciting new features we want to talk about. I'll go first. The feature I wanted to go over is Copilot in organizational apps. A lot of times users will consume content but won't necessarily generate it, and they'll go to apps to do that. So now they can engage in conversational AI, ask questions about their data, and get insights relatively quickly. So that's going to be very powerful and great add-on for those users who are already using organizational apps. This feature is public preview, and the other caveat is Copilot has to be licensed and enabled for it to work. So Siva, what caught your eye this time with Fabric or Power BI News?
One of the features that stood out to me is the refresh SQL endpoint metadata API. This lets us to programmatically trigger some metadata synchronization for Fabric SQL endpoints. But to use this feature, simply pass Workspace ID and SQL endpoint ID, and then API will provide a detailed synchronization status for each table. I personally faced delays and inconsistency with Fabric SQL endpoints, so that leads to data inaccuracy and data incompleteness. And this feature might fix some of the problems that I have been waiting for. I'm really looking forward to test it myself and then implement it in the real project. So one important point is still this feature is in public preview. And if you guys wanted to test it and share your experience, that will be great. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to that one too.
That's it.
I've run into that problem a few times myself. Rubayat, what do you want to share with us from this month's update?
Yeah, so for this month's update, Microsoft introduced the variable library integration with notebooks. So this feature helps us manage configuration values across different environments without the need to hardcode them into our notebook. So before this, when we worked across the environments like development, test, or production, we had to manually update things like the file paths or connection string each time we switched environments. It could get repetitive, and more importantly, it was easy to miss something, which could cause issues when running our code. But now with the variable library, we can define this environment-specific values in a central location, and our notebooks will reference them automatically. Instead of modifying the code every time, we will need to update the values in the library. So this will help clean our code, reduce errors, and make it more acceptable when we work across the environments.
Yeah, that one's going to be a huge time saver. Last but not least, Sharon, what do you want to share with us?
Yeah, this time what caught my eyes was we have one more easy approach to kind of optimize performance in both SQL endpoint and the values. So that's result set caching. So what happens is when we have complex queries and when different users or different reports hit the same query back to the warehouse, it was recomputing every time. But now with result set caching, we can enable it, and then the queries are cached unless for a specified period of time or unless the source changes. So this will drastically reduce the query time, especially for complex analytical queries, which gives us very few rows, but needs to scan a very big table for that. So this is going to help us optimizing the performance of the queries. This is in preview again. So this is again an opt-in, so does not turn on automatically. So if you want to try this out, you can turn it on at the database level and then check it out. And one cool thing about this is that they also give the transparent thing whether a particular query is using the cache or not, so that we'll get to know whether it's getting used or not as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of people that are going to be happy about that one, myself included. So thank you for sharing with us. Those are just some of the monthly updates that caught our eye. There are a lot more, so I encourage you to check out the feature summary for Microsoft Fabric and Power BI. Check out what caught your eye, maybe test some things that are in preview, some of the things we mentioned, some of the things we didn't, and hopefully you'll join us next month for the latest round of updates. Thanks, everybody.